Well, here are my poorly neglected African violets. They've needed attention for a long time, and I keep saying, pretty soon I've got to take care of them. I've had these for over 20 years, and every once in a while I really have to take surgery to them. African violets keep growing from the base, and you can see on this one, what happens is that the base, every time the dead leaves come, you break them off of the bottom when they get translucent, and the plant keeps growing and growing, and sometimes it twists around. And so I even had to put like a support in this one because it kept tipping over. If I took it out of its support right now, it would just fall over. And so what I've got to do is restore it. Some articles say you could just take a leaf from one and start a whole new plant, but it seems such a betrayal to my old friend. So we're going to perform surgery on these. I have a lot of them. That one is absolutely the worst. But African violets like the light. They're phototropic. They love the light. And unlike us, they turn to the light every day. And so sometimes their stems grow around in circles, and they get longer and longer, and then they want to fall out of the pots. So we have to help them. So what we're going to do is we're going to consider what would a healthy plant be. It wouldn't be that long. So we're going to take the leaves off of the bottom and take the plant out and take the leaves off of the bottom, and then do some surgery on where we break off the lower leaves so that we can have a sturdy plant in the pot instead of these tipping over ones. And try to show you on one of them. Thanks. Bye. Well, here's the plant that I just took out of the pot. See the root structure down here. It's a very fine rhizome-like structure they have. And African violets are used to living on the jungle floor, and they send out these roots all along and spread themselves out the jungle floor, and we have the privilege of having them in our homes. I want to advertise indoor plants are good for you. They make oxygen, and they purify the air and make life better for us. We should have plants inside and outside. I read that it takes 8 trees to make enough oxygen for one person. So we should be planting trees and having African violets and other plants, aloe and what they said, peace lilies, take out a lot of impurities, better than an air filter. And I just read this morning that staring at a purple flower of an African violet releases serotonin and makes us feel better. No wonder I love my African violets. You can see these needed, these needed to be nipped off. You shouldn't let dead flowers keep growing. You should nip them off. A plant spends a lot of energy making seeds, and we're not really going to collect the seeds from these. And I'm going to take, even though they're not completely dead yet, I'm going to take all of the blooms off of these before the surgery or during the surgery, because the plant, when it's trying to establish a new root system, doesn't need to be trying to make seeds as well. It's kind of sad to say goodbye to those blooms, but there'll be some soon. Now, what's got to happen with this is that I have got to take off the bottom. It's hard to do this and hold the camera at the same time. Now, I've got to take off the bottom leaves and imagine just the top of this plant. So you see, I really have to take a lot of these off at the bottom because I need to visualize just the top of this plant. And you can see that African violets sort of bleed when you do this. Lots of juices coming out here. And all along the stem, too, you can see, though, it's always trying to send out new rhizomes for the jungle floor. So that's to our advantage because it wants to root itself. So I'm going to go all the way up to where the things begins, I guess, to start straightening out. You can see I've neglected this so badly. Now, one of the articles I was checking to make sure that I was doing this right, they said you could cut the stem right off, but I've always sharpened it and brought it to a point to put the point into the pot, and not just, I guess it could survive with just the top of the plant. And in fact, one time I had the root broke off when I was doing this, and that plant did survive. I just planted its little crown in the soil and hoped for the best, and it survived. So maybe that would work as well. But see, I'm still not to the place where it looks like a new plant. Actually, it's so bent, poor thing. But it will. The leaves will turn towards the light once I get it straightened up. And I don't worry about the potting soil that gets on the leaves. They clean themselves up after a little bit. The plants are so wonderful. And like I said, we should have them inside. You can't have a cat or a dog. You could have a plant. And it would help you. And if you have a dog or cat, it helps them too because it makes more oxygen. And this one is really in bad shape. I hate to take it all the way down anymore, but I'm going to do this and imagine, oops, excuse me. I'm going to imagine myself planting this part, so I'm going to just cut the stem off down about this, not any longer than would still fit in my pot. See, with my trailing stuff is way longer than my pot, so I'm going to stop for a minute and then cut. As you can see, I broke some of that stem off, and I think I'm going to break it at that bend as well and try to straighten that out. It'll be a little short, but then what I've got to do now, I'm just going to use the scissors, or you could use a knife. I'm going to scrape like I was peeling a carrot. I'm going to scrape the base so that the inner workings of the stem are exposed so that they can send out those little rhizomy roots more readily. If I had done this sooner, I probably wouldn't have such a curvy base below my plant, but it is what it is. I'm going to poke a hole in the pot, in the potting soil, and I'm going to stick this in. Then when I take it in the house, I'm going to water it so that it's nice and moist. And then all this scraped off part of the stem will start to produce new roots, just like that stuff there, and the plant will feed itself. But this one didn't have any flowers, but if it did, I would take them off. Bye. So here he is now, sort of put into the dirt. I kept having to take more and more of the stem off so that I could get him to stand up sort of straight. And I'll have to be real careful to turn him every day so that the geotropic feature of the phototropic, not geo is wanting to go toward the ground or something, or away from the ground. The phototropic properties of the plant will cause it to bloom evenly or to grow evenly, and I'll have to watch it. So see, doesn't he look a lot healthier than that stuff? All of these leaves here, if you were all here, you could each take one of these home, stick it into take the leaf off, stick the leaf into some of the potting soil so that this underside would be touching the moist earth, and it would eventually form a new plant. Kind of sad to throw these away, but it would be worse to start one of these and throw the whole original plant that has been with me for so long away. So there he goes. I'm going to do another one because that one was so difficult. Thanks. Bye. If I were a smoker, I should have gloves on because smoking is not so good for the plants. You can see I tore off all those leaves, and it's almost straight what's left, and the plant itself will want to, if I put that stem down in sort of straight, it will want to straighten itself up, especially if I'm careful to turn it away from the light so it would turn towards the light. Like if I put the light over to the right, those leaves will bend down to try to get the top surface on the light. So I'm going to cut the stem off, and take all these roots off, but cut the stem off, and then I'm going to scrape this, just like I said, like it was a carrot, so that I can expose the stem, and then we'll put it in a new pot. Clean dirt and everything, and hopefully everybody will survive. They have in the past. We've performed this surgery before. It's just, there's an awful lot of them to do, but today's the day. Thank you. Bye. Now this is going to be the hardest part for me. Look at those pretty flowers. It's like that article said, makes you feel good just to look at those purple flowers. But see all the pollen there? They're trying to make seeds, so I have to take them off so that all the strength of the plant can be used in helping it to repair from its surgery. Kind of sad. But you got to do what you got to do. Anyway, I'm going to do this one next, but it's not, I think I can get to the crown of it pretty well, but I have to take the flowers off. Bye. Well, I thought the only thing to do is to show you the things back in their place. Here comes my dog to join in. See, they're on the bar shelf where I don't have bar stools up against it. And I've turned some of them so they look a little bit better, but I really need to try to turn some of them in a way that will help them turn towards the light. But there they are. They look a lot better than they did yesterday morning when most of them were trying to reach over the edge and go down to the ground. And from the other side, they separate the kitchen area here where I have to work and to the living room. So there they are. So there they are. That's the way. Hope this helps some of you have questions about how to repot an African violet.